Hey y'all, I'm Cassie and welcome back to my channel. So about 2 weeks ago, I posted a video showing you all how to pleat different types of fabrics, and today I'm going to show you guys how to sew it down. So let's get started. Okay, so let's talk about the things that you're going to need for today as you're going to be doing your sewing. So I have a cute little pair of scissors. I like the really small Ginger ones just because they're super lightweight. And then I also am going to have color matching thread. I think that this is the closest probably that I have. Sometimes I use invisible thread, but it's kind of plasticky, so if you are working with a fabric that has a little bit more movement to it and you just want it tacked but not like stretched in place, I would suggest just using regular thread, and you can see it today too. So I'm going to actually show you with this. And then I have a little needle. Make sure that the needle you use is nice and sharp when working with fabrics like chiffon or silk. If your needle isn't sharp, then it just kind of picks at the fabric and you end up with all of these extra little picks and it really looks, well, picked. So, sharp needle it is. So all I'm doing is I'm threading my needle. All right, so I've threaded it. I'm gonna double it up. You don't have to double it up. You can leave it just one string. Sometimes this makes it a little bit cleaner of a finish. You don't see any of it at all. But I'm just gonna double knot it on the end. And I like to snip my excess thread just so that it doesn't hang out at the end. Okay, so let me just explain first perhaps. It's honestly pretty self-explanatory once you get going with it. If you don't do a lot of hand sewing, this will take you just a second to really get the hang of, but as soon as you get the hang of it, you go a little bit faster and you'll find that it's actually very, very satisfying. So the goal is to go from the underneath side first, and if you're working on an actual garment, you're gonna wanna do this step before you install your liner, because then otherwise you have to worry about going in and out, and on the inside of the fabric, on the finished product, you're gonna have all of these picks and places where you see the thread feeding through all the layers. It's just unnecessary. So if you can do this step before you install your liner, I certainly suggest that you do. But you're going to want to kind of weave it through the pleats, down through the fabric, back up, and then through the pleat again. Okay, so as I said, you're going to go from the underside first. So I'm just going to kind of start in this middle pleated section here. You can see my needle coming out. I'm going to pull it all the way through. And then I'm actually going to do like a little knot on the underside, even though I have a knot in the string itself. And this is because whenever your wearer actually puts it on, if they bend any kind of particular way or they put any stress at all on that knot, it'll just pick right out, and then you'll start to see your pleats kind of become undone. So an easy way to counteract or prepare for that is just to go ahead and knot it on the underside. So again, we're going to go up through the fabric, just in that middle section there in the crease, and that's really how you're going to hide your first pleat. The goal here is to be doing most of the work that you're doing with your thread and your needle underneath the seams while coming back up periodically and catching the seam as well. So I'm going to feed it back down, I'm feeding it underneath, and I'm going to slide this pleat back just a little bit to where it naturally would fold over. I'm going to pull out, making sure that my threads are all still the same length, otherwise you get knots cut up really quickly. And you're gonna go right back down. So pull it back just a little bit, go back up where it naturally would fold over. Being careful to keep everything in place just as you go, just giving it a nice little tuck. You're gonna pull it back just a little bit. So you're seeing as I am inserting the needle, I'm really only doing it where the folds sit so that it actually covers the thread coming out and then going back in. Okay, so you're starting to see this really come together already, and if you kind of give it a tuck, you find that the folds naturally go back into place. If you pull it back, you see where we did our little stitch, but naturally you don't see it at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew the rest of this, and then I'll hang it up, and so you can see that it actually sits nicely. So Okay, you guys, that is the end of the tutorial for today. I know it was really brief, but I just wanted to show you guys that learning how to sew pleats like this, and there's a lot of other techniques within the high fashion evening wear couture world that feel really scary and hard to tackle, and it's really not necessarily something that you might learn in school because it's such a small niche in the apparel industry. But fun fact about me is I've been sewing coming up on a decade, and I just learned how to do this 3 weeks ago by accident. I wish I had had someone to ask all these questions to as I was just beginning my sewing journey, so I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you'd be interested in seeing more techniques on really fun evening wear, pleating, tacking, hand sewing, beading, anything like that, or just your thoughts and comments in general, please of course leave those in the comments section. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all next week.